Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Urbana-Champaign. My name is Reverend Sally Fritchie, and I am the Associate Minister of this congregation, alongside our lead minister, Reverend Beth Monholland. We are a church of many different theologies and identities, united by a shared commitment to building community, seeking inspiration, promoting justice, and finding peace. Please continue to look around at the color-coded lanyards of your neighbors every Sunday to be aware and respectful of others' needs and boundaries while we're together. We are a congregation of all ages, which means we embrace whatever noises and disruptions our kids might bring into a Sunday morning. Kids will start Sundays up here and later in the service be invited to head downstairs with their volunteer teachers for the religious exploration programs. As always, people of any age here in the sanctuary are invited to grab a coloring pack from the box just outside the doors there if you want to keep your hands busy while we're together. If you need more space to stretch and wiggle around or just make a bathroom trip, you can also go anytime across the entryway into Fellowship Hall, where the audio of the service is being piped in. I'll also note this morning that our beloved choir director, MR, is out sick, so our printed order of service is slightly inaccurate. And credit should go to Sam Bashirs and Tanya Hodges for helping lead our hymns this morning, and to Frank Gallo, our generous substitute choir director, who's joining us from Parkland College, where he works on faculty in the music school. Thank you, Frank. As UU's, one of our sacred sources is the spiritual teaching of earth-centered traditions, which instruct us to live in harmony with the rhythms of nature. In honor of that source of wisdom, given that this week will bring us to the winter solstice, we'll begin today by humbly acknowledging the four directions and the powers that connect us to our earth. I invite you to physically turn in your seat with me if you like, or just let your energies align in the directions as I name them. Let your attention focus fully. We look to the east, the direction of air, inspiration, and intellect. We look to the south, the direction of fire, transformation, and passion. We look to the west, the direction of water, emotion, and reflection. We look to the north, the direction of earth, stability, and wisdom. And finally, we look to the center to remember the threads that connect us in all directions to the web of life that surrounds us today. If you are feeling overwhelmed, rushed, surrounded by chaos, whether personal or more general, I hope you will find in today's service a safe harbor and a chance to rest. Not to hide from the world, but to remind ourselves of the peace and warmth that does exist within and around us when we can give ourselves a chance to breathe and notice it. Today we will light candles, sing, meditate, and lift up some of the small, practical miracles that might be overlooked in the hustle and bustle of this season. Whether you're here in the sanctuary or watching from afar, whether you're a longtime member, a first-time visitor, or somewhere in between, know that you are welcome here, and I hope that you find in this service something that you need. And now I'll invite you to take a moment to turn in your seats if you like and briefly greet your neighbors. You might introduce yourself, simply nod and smile, shake hands, whatever you're comfortable with. We'll take just a moment and I'll call us back together with a ring of the chime. And with that, I will invite longtime UUCUC member Mick McEnroe and his sister, Amanda Jane, forward to help us light our chalice this morning.
Each Sunday, we begin our time together by lighting a flaming chalice, a symbol of our Unitarian Universalist tradition. This morning, we will light our chalice flame with these words, written by organizer and writer Ursula Wolf Rocca. You are invited to read along from your printed order of service if you wish, or simply hear the words as I speak them. She writes, "It can be overwhelming to take in all the injustices of the moment. The good news is that they're all connected. So if your little corner of work involves pulling at one of the threads, you're helping to unravel the whole damn cloth. Let's keep working our corners. Solidarity." May the flame we kindle today illuminate our little corner and warm our hands as we do the work of solidarity and love. Come, let us be together.
And now I will invite you to please stand, if standing is comfortable for you, and join in singing our opening hymn, number 346 in the Great Hymnal, "Come Sing a Song with Me."
Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me, that I might know you're mine. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me, that I might know you're mine. And I'll give you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me, that I might know you're mine. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me, that I might know you're mine. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. You all done good. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, can you hear me on this little microphone? I heard a yay from the back, so. This is a time in our service when we usually tell a story or do an activity that is aimed at those who might not be as interested in hearing a long sermon. So if anyone wants to come forward and get a closer look at some of the pictures we'll be seeing in our book today, you are welcome to come forward. You do not have to come forward. And I'll add that we do have one prop in today's story. I'm going to put it on a little pedestal. All right. Well, because we want everyone to get to see it, so we'll put it in the middle. All right, and anyone who doesn't come and we put glass beads or flower petals into a bowl of water, but sometimes we light candles. And so I wanted to, because the story was at candles, we're going to light candles for our joys and sorrows this morning. Well, this is a good time to practice.
Just light a match for later. Guys, don't touch it. My mom never let me smoke. When are we going to blow it out?
So we're not going to blow it out. We're going to spread the flame around to these other candles over here. So we're going to stand up and follow me.
I go first in line.
And we're going to go in front here. All right. I'm going to show you what we're going to do, right? Take this candle. You take this candle, touch it until it lights. You have to be patient and so still. And then you touch it to one of these unlit candles. And then what happens? It lights. And then you pass it to the person next to you.
Actually, it didn't light.
Oh, then it goes out.
Then you go for a rotation like this.
All right. And we're going to take turns. We're going to take it nice and slow. And if you need any help, I am right here. But this is one of those things that it forces you to take your time and be so patient. Here, you can try a different one if you want. Thank you. I got it. All right, who wants to try next? Here you go. Oh! Did you burn your finger? I'm sorry, John. You want to? I'll show you how to do it. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for helping her. I like your fingernails. Here you go. You want to hold this? Here, hold this one. That way it won't get wax on you. Thank you. Beautiful. Are you okay? You did a good job. All right. If you want to try, you can come forward. And oh, thank you. Here, let me get a candle for you. All right, and we're going to invite the grown-ups. If you want to come forward and light a candle or write your joy and sorrow now, you're invited to do that. Oh, I see some going up already. Thank you. And once the candles are lit, the kids will be invited to go downstairs with their grown-ups and enjoy their classes. Do you think it's going to grow? Oh, I bet it will. Thank you. Do you want to put it up on the altar? Beautiful job. Yeah, we do. You want to take a turn? Yeah, it's okay. Good job. Here you go. Careful, this one's got a little wax on it. Yeah. It takes patience, right? It's hard. You want to try again? Here you go.
That one was mine. That one was mine.
You can go around. Good job. You did it. I know. Thank you. There will be time later in the service when those joys and sorrows that have been shared will be read aloud. So you still have a little bit of time if you want to send in an email to joysandsorrows@uucuc.org and have your good or difficult news shared with the congregation. And with that, I would like to invite UUCUC member Pat McClard forward to offer today's reading, coming to us from the book Active Hope by Joanna Macy and Chris Johnstone.
When disaster sweeps away illusions of self-sufficiency, we are reminded how much we need one another, how much we depend not only on people, but also on the larger web of life. We treat people with a different kind of respect when we consider that they might someday be pulling us out of the rubble. We don't need to wait for disaster before opening to this rich experience of community. When people express their grief, dread, and outrage at the unraveling of our world, awareness grows that we are, all of us, living in a disaster zone. Hearing one another name the tragedies unfolding in our world reassures us that we're not alone in noticing. The expression of common concern builds community, as does our shared willingness to show up and respond.
Thank you, Pat. We, as Unitarian Universalists, know that our circle of care should not stop at our church doors. We are deeply connected to the community we find ourselves in and to the wider world. Please continue to keep an eye on your e-news weekly newsletter for opportunities to show up, to find support, to get involved, and to be part of this community. I want to make sure I give my hearty congratulations on last week's unanimous congregational vote. When we get a unanimous congressional vote, I will also let you know. Unanimous congregational vote to approve the fundraising effort that will allow us to make our building safer and more accessible, including building a ramp this spring. And if you are a newcomer who couldn't vote because you're not an official voting member and you want to vote next time we have something like this, a Pathway to Membership class has been scheduled for January 27th. That's a Saturday, so save the date. Also, this week we will be having our Yule Vespers service. Vespers meaning evening prayers. Yule is the pagan celebration of the winter solstice. If you want a chance to center down, honor the balance of dark and light, be in a quiet, sacred moment without any mention of Christmas, without any expectation to be merry and bright. We'll begin here in the sanctuary on Thursday night and, weather permitting, move out to a fire circle on the lawn. That's at 6 p.m. Thursday. Christmas Eve service here will be 5 p.m. on Sunday. We'll also have a more pared down service at our usual time that morning, 10:15, with some readings and songs and a minimal coffee hour. But the main event will be 5 p.m. Our traditional cookie exchange will still be happening, with folks welcome to show up starting at 4 p.m. to snack and enjoy warm beverages, and invited to stay after the service until 7, chatting and packing Ziploc bags and paper plates full of cookies to take home. So I will invite our choir up. They'll be providing our offertory music in a moment. Each Sunday, as part of our very real interdependence and reliance on one another, we pass the plate and share our offering with an organization doing the work of justice in the world. For our December Sundays, we're sharing our plate with the UU partner churches, which are long-standing UU communities in Romania and India, keeping diverse historical parts of our tradition alive and adding international depth and richness to our wider community. You can give by text or through the online portal on our website, or if you're here in the sanctuary, the basket will be passed and checks can be made out to UUCUC. Half of what you give will go towards sustaining the work of this church. The other half will go directly to the congregations in Romania and India. We invite you to give whatever is generous for you, and know that anything you contribute, anything at all, will be gratefully received and put to use making a real difference for communities that need it. The basket will now be passed. Thank you. Our shared joys and sorrows. From Jocelyn Karsk, great joy celebrating my sister this fall, first with her wedding in September and earlier this week attending the adoption of her 2 foster children. From Elizabeth Larson, I have less than 20 weeks until I graduate as a nurse midwife. From Jen Bartlett, this week was my brother Chris's birthday. I don't know where he is. Chris, I love you and miss you, and thank you for being a wonderful brother. People care about you. Thank you, Jen. From Margaret Lovell, hope that my mother-in-law makes an easy transition to nursing home care. Thank you. From Sam Bashirs, concern for Barbara, who is worried about her health and about her future. From Beatrice Claby, my sorrow is I had a fever yesterday. It's hard. from Theo Chopin-Leff, who I believe has already gone downstairs to his class. Today would have been Justine Chopin's 83rd birthday. Justine was a member of this church, Melissa Chopin's mother, and my grandma. Thank you, Theo. And a joy from Haley Gibbs. This year, I decided to go back to school at 28 years old, and I'm grateful to share that I have just completed my first semester of college with a 4.0 GPA. Very much worth celebrating. Thank you to everyone who shared. To anyone who intended to send a joy or sorrow to share that didn't make it in, I apologize, and we will be sure to print it in this week's e-news so that the community will know to celebrate or to comfort you. And anyone who is carrying joys too private or sorrows too heavy to speak aloud, know that this space is for you as well. We know that our prayers do not float off to miraculously solve problems, bring peace to the world, but may they do the work of keeping our own hearts tender enough and humble enough to not look away from all that is happening around us. I invite you to use this time and this music as a space to pray, meditate, or simply let your body rest and breathe in this shared space. Lighting candles at this time of year always holds a special kind of resonance for me. That's why I don't mind getting absolutely doused in hot wax, helping the kids light their own candles and get that experience themselves. Because it's not just about the light in the dark of winter or the warmth of the flame, but the way you have to hold perfectly still for that half a breath, waiting for the wick to catch and start burning on its own. That pause, that stillness, I find, is so needed when we're accelerating into the holiday season with all its expectations and bright, bustling demands on our time and attention. In the story of the winter candle, one stubby lump of candle is passed from neighbor to neighbor over the course of the winter, letting them celebrate the Sabbath, Santa Lucia Day, and Kwanzaa, and finally guiding a father home to his family in a snowstorm. And though the candle is small and humble, a candle is blessed by what it does, not by how it looks. And really all the candle does is shine, so I might say this candle is special, is blessed because of what people do with it. And what do they do in the story? They share it. They show up for their neighbors. They make do. They let go of the need to have everything perfect for their various holiday celebrations, the correct candle, the right braid, the right color. And that candle then is blessed by its imperfection. Next week is Christmas. I don't know if you know. With all that comes with that. But I want today to be about small, practical miracles, stubby candles, and helpful neighbors. We can save the big, world-saving miracles for later. The divine arrivals on earth can be next week. Let's take a second and find the holy here and now, the holy that is already with us. The problems of the world are vast, and you are not alone in facing them. There is genuine goodness and warmth in the world as well. The feeling of overwhelm, of not doing enough, not being enough, can make its way into even our most sincere efforts. And there's a lot we're asking of ourselves these days. So there will be Sundays when we talk strategy up here. There will be days when we gather our strength and get practical and work towards solutions. And there have been those Sundays already, I know. There will be again. Not to mention that the work is not limited to Sundays. And there must also be days when we tend to our hearts. Knowing you all as I do, as I like to think I do, I don't feel the need to come to church today and tell you of the world's pain. You are deeply aware of it. I think some days we need to come to church and be reminded that we are capable of more than we know. Reminded of the love and warmth and genuine humanity in the world, showing up in 1,000 ways we can't always see or don't always notice. This will be my 4th Christmas here as your associate minister, and I'm only now able to appreciate what a unique view I get of the life in the church. That I get to see so many different little interactions and friendships and behind-the-scenes volunteer efforts. That I get to be present in hospital rooms and deathbeds and in conversations that will never leave the circles they were shared in. How lucky I am to enjoy that view. And I realized that I wanted more than anything today to share some of that view with all of you, to help you see what I see. Because do you understand how kind you are being to one another some of the time? I mean, we're not perfect. We're not perfect. But I have seen such gentle thoughtfulness from members of this community. It takes my breath away. I don't think you have any idea what a difference you are making in each other's lives. We're surrounded by small miracles of community here all the time. Church members are showing up with diapers for the newest babies. Hot meals are being dropped off on doorsteps by countless volunteers for countless families. Cards are winging away to hospitals and prison cells. And sometimes these gestures are between old friends, well-established pillars of the church, but sometimes it's total strangers, newcomers, folks only just starting to get connected. When a true need arises, I see you all show up with so little fanfare, so little recognition or reward. Just recently, I put out a call for help, very short notice, basically no details provided, and 14 people showed up. Hands and hearts at the ready. When things get real, there are people who show up. And that's worth everything. I'd rather be able to say that than be able to say that we have the holiest and most devout church, or we have the most correct opinions that the world has ever seen. We say that we value deeds before creeds, but genuinely, you are doing the dang thing. Even the big vote to start raising money to build a ramp was a heartening reminder that when asked, we will try to say yes. Another UU minister was actually in town visiting family recently, attended a handful of services here just as a visitor, and she reached out to Reverend Beth and I afterward to let us know what she had experienced, kind of like a secret shopper conversation. You never know what you're going to hear. She wanted us to know that she had been warmly greeted every time she entered our doors. She felt invited in and cared for, and she felt that we should know that this congregation radiates a kind of joy and vitality that is hard to find in post-COVID church. Recently, when one of our newer families let me know that their youngest hadn't stopped talking about the church necklaces and how excited she was to get one of her own, I reached out to our resident name tag maker, Ann Sharp, and asked if she could please put an emergency rush on a very special name tag, even though I knew it would have to be a super quick turnaround. I didn't know if she could do it. And miracle worker that she is, Ann said, yes, of course. And that Sunday, there was a shiny new button hanging on a lanyard for our newest kid. And I'm sure stuff like this is happening year-round, but I feel like I've been noticing it more this time of year because Christmas stories are often a bit like that, gifts appearing suddenly, as if by magic. The original story of St. Nicholas was of a Turkish bishop who secretly left sacks of gold in the home of a poor family, saving the family's 3 daughters from being sold into servitude. And Christmas stories and traditions have often taken that form, gifts appearing suddenly as if by magic, wishes answered just when we need them most. Church name tags materializing on our name tag tree overnight. And the thing is, parents and caregivers everywhere know that behind the magic of those miracles are hands and hearts and a lot of effort. And that doesn't make them less magical. That's what I want to remind us of. A miracle done by human hands out of love rather than by magic or by divine will is not a lesser miracle. It's still something incredible, something worth celebrating, being proud of, stopping and saying, this is beautiful. A casserole or a box of diapers is beautiful. A moving truck appearing on your doorstep just when you most desperately need it. It may not be a sack of gold. But these are miracles. And these everyday stories won't ever be scripture, but we UUs luckily aren't limited to what was written in ancient texts. The revelation of truth for us is ongoing. And that'll preach. It's something holy, and I want you to see that. A candle is blessed by what it does, who it warms and brightens. And I know I'm offering stories specific to this community because this is the community I get to witness living these little miracles, but it's not just about us. Maybe you're here visiting for the first time. Maybe you're not familiar or connected with any of the instances I'm talking about. You're still connected to everyone in your own life who has helped you, who you have helped in times of need. You can still think about the little lumpy candle and where you've seen it in your own story. Neighbors, friends, family, strangers, willing to share, showing up when things get real, keeping a lamp lit for each other through dark days. The warmth and closeness of these practical human miracles are important for us to hold on to. And I think part of what feeds feelings of overwhelm in the face of current events or horrifying headlines is that we can't show up for our fellow humans in the same way when we are so physically distant from events. We know instinctually what to do when someone needs a hot meal or a spare room for a few nights. But the sheer scale of what we see happening, for example, in Gaza and Israel, or anything that we watch from halfway across the world in our news, the humanity within us calls out to help, to reach out and pull people out from the rubble and wrap blankets around children and lend a warm flame so they don't have to be in darkness. But when world governments and billions of military dollars are involved, those small miracles of human empathy don't measure up to the scale of what's needed. Feeling helpless and overwhelmed doesn't make you a bad person, it just makes you a person. In our reading today, we heard When people express their grief, dread, and outrage at the unraveling of our world, awareness grows that we are all of us living in disaster zones. Hearing one another name the tragedies unfolding in our world reassures us that we're not alone in noticing them. The expression of common concern builds community, as does our shared willingness to show up and respond. Hearing one another speak the horror of what we witness is important. And also, I know that we will show up and respond. We will protest and pressure our politicians, demand the peace that only comes with justice and respect for human life. I know that our shared offering next month will be going to the Palestine Children's Relief Fund, a group providing free medical care to children in the region. And we'll show up for anti-hate efforts closer to home, standing alongside our neighbors against Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, racism, and indifference. Taking care to keep our sights always on the humanity of those involved, the inherent worth of each life, each person worth saving, protecting, cherishing. Even as we push for the big miracles that our world needs, we need not neglect those smaller human connections. Those are where we will find our strength. There are people halfway across the world who need us to raise our voices for them, yes. And there are people right here who will help us keep hold of the fundamental human empathy and care that feeds those deepest commitments. Every time we show up, share, offer our imperfect humanity to each other, we're reminded that we are capable, that we need one another, and that we are good enough to be the ones who help when help is needed. There is someone, multiple someones right now who will have a meal tonight and a safe place to sleep because they asked for help and this community showed up. That's not nothing. I've had the privilege of witnessing hundreds of lives get a little bit safer, calmer, more stable, more hopeful, more possible, thanks to all the ways that you show up for each other. That is holy to me. It doesn't have to be everything, solve everything, to be worthwhile. We can forget that. I have one last story of the life happening here in our congregation, if you can indulge me one more time. It has to do with the shared offering. Each month we designate a different organization doing good work in the world and share our collection plate with them. The way we choose those organizations is that members can nominate potential places and everyone attends a big decision-making meeting and lobby for their picks and vote to finalize the 12 organizations for the coming year. This year, our religious exploration classes got involved, with each class taking time to talk about what causes are important to them, what types of community projects they think we should fundraise for. Each age group nominated a local organization and presented their reasoning at the big voting session. But since you have to be at least 12 years old in order to be an official voting member of the congregation, the kids did not vote in the final decision. They did not like that. So for the following several Sundays, class time was spent learning about the democratic process. And these young UUs started to outline exactly what a responsible, fair system for voting on things like shared offering nominations could look like. Not to drop all requirements or make all kids full members of the church immediately, but to take seriously the value of all ages getting directly involved in the work of our community. These kids want to be part of the effort, the hands that make miracles happen for others. I got to hear an RE teacher quote one kid, "Well, is this all just theoretical, or are we going to actually do something about it?" So now they're downstairs writing a letter to the board. and making a proposal for how kids can be included in voting on more church matters. And I hope that that makes you feel as proud and moved and excited for the future as it does me. And if I can zoom out just a bit and offer the minister view again, I can't help but see the thread that connects these kids to something else. About 6 months ago, we celebrated one of our high schoolers bridging out of youth group and into young adulthood. And she used her bridging ceremony as an opportunity to preach a powerful message on the ways that the divide between adults and kids in church life had made her feel during her growing up here. She challenged us to learn, to change, to do better. And who was in the pews that Sunday listening to her message but those kids who today are speaking up for themselves and getting more deeply involved in the work that matters most to them. That one high schooler being willing to shine her light on something important has had a real effect on her world, on us. She might not get to see it, she's away at college now, but that effect is not nothing. The work of the world is overwhelming. The changes we as UUs, as people who care, want to make are overwhelming. But the good news is it's all connected. The work that you do, the work you are already doing right now, loving your neighbor, listening to a person in need, showing up with willing hands and open generosity, it is making a difference. It truly is. Whether you see it or not, you are making miracles happen in the lives around you. I see it all the time, and I hope that you can too. It makes me happy, it makes me proud, it makes my heart warm to know that we might be pulling each other up out of rubble that we may not see. This season, here and now, is made holy not by the arrival of a divine being, not by a man coming down our chimney, not by a Turkish saint delivering gold. It's made holy by us, by people showing up for each other, sharing the stubby end of a candle because it's what they have, delivering a meal or a toy or a bag of supplies, saying yes, reaching out a hand, whether it's right next to us or from halfway around the world. This here and now is a holy time, a holy space. May we remember to pause long enough to see it. Let that light catch the wick in our heart. Remember its worth. Amen. I invite you to take a breath. Stand if standing is comfortable for you. And join in singing our closing hymn, which we'll sing several times. I'm not sure how many repetitions. Juan is going to feel it out. Our closing hymn, number 402 in the gray hymnal, From You I Receive.
From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you together we share and live sweetly.
Beautiful. We close acknowledging the four directions in gratitude for their connection with us: east, south, west, and north. And we close by extinguishing our chalice flame with these shared words from UU Minister Reverend Elizabeth Selly Jones. We extinguish this flame, but not with the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Thank you. And when you go, go in peace.